Yeah. Hard. Militant-minded general, 9 grip, the grip with blades and a pen that can sharpen your spine's tip. Level-headed, though my mind flips from side to side with an acrobat's experience. After I stick it, I'm lyric down a demon-possessed Dahiye. Seems Jay's the best for the job with no code.
What's the word, y'all? It's KTR _podcast, Another Roast Podcast, and you are now live and direct with your boy, Cinko, Big Harv, J-Bo himself, for episode 40 of KTR, hashtag KTR. Yes, we are KTR. We're in the building. KTR, Another Roast Podcast, my brothers. How are y'all doing today?
Feeling wonderful, man. Can't complain.
Big Harv, how you feeling?
I'm alive, man. You know.
I see you looking comfortable with that pillow.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, it's good. I'm glad you're alive and glad you're here. And I'm feeling great. I just celebrated a whole birthday, my 29th birthday. It was a crazy week. I've been to 3 different cities within 7 days. I drank so much tequila that my body can't handle anymore. And I'm exhausted on the inside. But we're going to get the show on the road because that's what we do. But before we get started, please do this one simple favor for us, and that is also all social media platforms, KTR _podcast, Twitter, Instagram, Another Roast Podcast, Facebook, YouTube, Another Roast Podcast on all podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Podbean. We are on everything. And don't forget to get your merch at prowrestlingtees.com/KTR podcast. Also, little quick announcement, quick little plug for real quick. Our friends at Above the Ring got merch too. Bam! You see it right here. It's nice. It's comfortable. It's smooth. It's in my favorite color. They got shirts. They got aprons. They got mugs. They got book bags. They got Santa hats. They got everything that you need. You just need to go to their social media at Above the Ring. I think it got like an underscore in there. I forgot. Y'all changed your name from Bedlam Media to Above the Ring, so I really can't gather this new social media handle. But if y'all follow us on Twitter, you'll see us going back and forth with them on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Sometimes on Thursday if I got a little freedom on Thursdays when Impact is on. But that is another story. Let's get to this episode real quick. We're going to dive into this real fast. Episode 40. Let's talk about titles real quick. Because I feel like some titles are losing their relevancy right now. They're becoming a little bit afterthoughts. They're not getting the publicity that they should be getting, not getting enough TV time they should be getting. It's not giving enough credit that should be given. And we're gonna start with I'm gonna think the Intercontinental. I haven't seen the IC title on TV for a minute, and honestly, I forgot it was on TV. I forgot who had it for a good amount of time. Haven't seen it on any pay-per-views. Haven't seen it being defended lately, and it feels like a slap in the face to that title with all the history behind it. It's all the mid-carders that are on the rise, becoming main event roster people that can be main roster event people. Where the hell I'm trying to say right now, but you get what I'm saying. This IC title needs some credit, and honestly, we feel like it has done due justice since The Miz has had the title, which is sad. But brothers, how y'all feel about that? What y'all think?
I remember one prior episode we had where Chris Jericho did an interview with Vince McMahon where he just flat out said, hey, look, he doesn't care about the Intercontinental title, but the fans don't care about it, which in my opinion, it can be kind of false if it is pushed correctly. As you mentioned, the last time the Intercontinental Championship was truly relevant was when The Miz was the champion. And when he was the champion, everyone looked. Everyone paid attention. The Intercontinental Championship match that was on Raw or on SmackDown, because he was prevalent on both, everyone watched. Not because they wanted to see The Miz win or something, but not because they wanted to see The Miz win. They wanted to see him lose. He made that belt relevant. And unfortunately, I have not had that same feeling for the Intercontinental Championship in years. And right now, Shinsuke Nakamura is the current champion. Is that correct?
I think so.
You see what I'm saying? That's my
see. That's the problem.
We think so. See, that's the problem. But it's a championship, a very historic championship, and it's getting to the point where it's forgettable now. No one really cares. If it's not the Universal title, then who cares? So it's a travesty right now, and that's one of the things that we need. We'll talk about Roman Reigns a little bit later on, but I mean, he's the only champion that matters. And the Intercontinental Champion, U.S. Champion, any other champion can have relevancy and boost the show if we put focus into it. But I digress.
Big Harv.
I agree 100%. Like you said with that interview from Jericho that we discussed a while ago. Yeah, you don't care about the mid card. It's all about the world titles. The problem with that is, as you said, the statement that the fans don't care. If the fans didn't care, we wouldn't even be talking about it. You know, we wouldn't notice that it's not getting the attention and the prestige is dying with that title. So, I mean, people notice the title missing more than they notice the person holding the title missing. You know what I mean? So, it comes down to they don't want to give it the proper attention, the proper storylines. That it's fallen into irrelevancy, not because of the title holder, but because of the company that owns the title. It's up to them to make us care. They have to give it the right amount of time. They have to give it to the right people and give those people material that make us pay attention. So, I mean, it's up to them if they want us to care. But if they don't care about it, there's no way we could care about it because it translates on TV.
Yeah,
that is true because they used to have like at least good storylines for these mid card titles that actually build up for these title matches that they did have on the mid card level. Now it's just like, okay, battle royal for everybody. Whoever wins, gets the number one contender match later on in the evening or next week. Or what they used to try to do for like a little cop out, they would just have like, a big main eventer like what they did with like Roman Reigns and John Cena later on in their career, put the U.S. title on them just for that reason, instead of trying to build something with the mid card level people.
But see that no, you're right. That's another problem. They're trying to do that thing in reverse, like you said with Cena and Roman Reigns. They took already main event established stars and gave them the belt to try to bring prestige into the belt. When in return, it's actually supposed to be you win the mid card title first, you build your prestige from there, and then you go out to the main. That's another example that they don't know how to manage the mid card titles now.
Exactly. This is a bunch of people that can actually develop and bring prestige to their title, and it's superstars there also that are shown all the time on TV that aren't necessarily at the main card universal world title level, but there's the solid mid card title people where they can just display their talents every week and still like do segments every now and then. Like there's still superstars on a roster that can do that, but at the same time they just don't want to do anything. No shade or no anything thrown at Shinsuke Nakamura. His whole thing is been entertaining with like him and Rick Boogs, but it's just the direction, what they're going with him, the storylines that are not being developed or even attempted to be built is just hurting him as a superstar. Just it seems like they just don't want to give him no shine or no accolades or anything.
I think that belt is actually doing more harm to his career than good. Once again, it's a belt that has no volume, no power behind it right now. So you're giving it to Shinsuke just so that he can have something to do. He's actually much better off in like a good driven out storyline than just to have a championship belt and have Rick Boogs, who has very little relation to him whatsoever, as his. And then have our guy McAfee on the top of the table rocking out with them every week. The time I've been is actually hurting Shinsuke for the caliber superstar that he is.
This is a little bit off topic, but when the Slammers come up, please put Pat McAfee as Superstar of the Year for a consideration nominee. He has been outstanding for a first-year person on WWE. Like, great. It started with him doing stuff on NXT with Adam Cole and Undisputed. That was hilarious. They're going to commentary. Had no idea how it was going to be. And I promise you, the first week he was on TV, like this guy's a natural, and just kept building up. It's like his personality just fits so well with it, especially on SmackDown. The dude's entertaining and funny, but yeah, that's enough about that. We're getting off topic. So since we're talking about titles right now, let's talk about another title that feels not necessarily relevant, but just the division in general.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like it's getting disrespected.
Yeah.
And that's the tag team division.
Yeah.
I still don't understand or know why they don't want to push tag teams or keep breaking up developed tag teams at such an early stage. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit the bill. It's hurting the division. It's just making it less and less. And you're just going to see the same tag teams go against each other. So I just asked why. Like, what do you think the problem is with that? Like, what direction you think they're going to go with tag teams?
So, shout out to It's My Wrestling podcast. They did an interview with Charlie Haas, and Charlie Haas just pretty much talked about his current wrestling stint and his past tag team history. Of course, he talked about Shelton Benjamin, how he's still real close to him. Shelton is the godfather of his daughter, you know, all good, heartwarming stuff. But one thing that did come up in the interview was Vince McMahon's opinion from when Charlie Haas worked for World Wrestling Entertainment. Vince's opinion on tag team wrestling. And he stated, and I quote, Vince doesn't like tag team wrestling. He looks at it as an added expense, as paying for an extra guy on the road, extra guy in the hotel room. He really doesn't like it, and he changed a lot of it over the years. We can kind of see that now. We see the random tag team of Randy Orton and Riddle, who's eventually going to break up anyway because of the storyline. We've been talking about the women's tag team division pretty much every other episode on this one, and it's just going to keep on going. There's no focus. We'll never see another tag team main event WrestleMania. Once again, that's just because of the lack of focus. We'll see women's matches main event, as we've seen. We'll see triple threat matches. We'll obviously see one-on-ones, but because there's a lack of focus in the tag team division, we're not going to see that main event, any major show, unless it's something like Survivor Series or I don't know, the New Day versus, the Bloodline, something like that. It's a shame because these are all elements that makes up a good wrestling program. Just like how we talked about the Intercontinental title, the tag team scene, and yes, even the World Heavyweight scene. But if we just focus on one, which every week it seems like it, they will suffer every single week. Yeah, it's another problem.
Yeah. WWE is where tag teams go to die, to be honest.
Wow.
I mean, you can go back.
He said it like it was a tagline.
You can go back as far as the 80s and the 90s with the Mega Powers. You know what I mean? They threw their two top guys together and discredited the entire tag team division they had then. And that was the Golden Age tag team. Only time that tag team wrestling had relevancy was the Attitude Era because they brought the hardcore crash dummy style wrestling to the forefront. It wasn't about the tag teams. It was about the bodies being broken and being thrown through all these objects and all the punishment and all that. So if you look at the history, they never cared about tag team wrestling, in WWE. All the big tag teams that went there from the territories to the indies, all that, they all broke up. They never lasted long. The only ones they ever have that last long are brothers like the Hardys, who they broke up, brought back together, broke up, brought back together. Twins like the Usos. New Day is seen as a one-off. So you can't really say that you can't make money off of tag team wrestling because they made millions off of New Day. You know what I mean? But that as a one-off instead of an example of how they could have factions in tag team wrestling actually work for the company. So I really just don't think Vince has faith or any interest in tag team wrestling. He never has. And yes, it's been evidenced throughout history. He throws tag teams together. They'll have a couple good tag teams. Then they'll need something to do with their main event guys to build the heat between them, throw the main event guys together with the tag team title. We've seen it with John Cena and Shawn Michaels. And, it happens every couple years. It's just that now, same thing with their main event picture, they don't have anybody, any legends to step in to do that. So now they're just throwing people together on the women, on the men. They're so out of practice with it. I don't think that they can successfully build tag teams anymore. Not with the main brass that is currently with WWE.
It's crazy because they really did have solid tag teams to begin
I
with
love
anyway.
that. I've always loved tag team wrestling, which is why I was so hard on the women's tag team division this whole time, because it was not good tag team wrestling. But tag team wrestling in WCW, ECW, WWE, even though they never really cared about it, every territory, every indie platform is always an exciting match. Especially multiple to 6-man, 8-man tag is always going to be, because there's so many different talented people in there. And if you give them the time, they all get to shine. So, and I also understand, it's seen as just like an extra body or an extra expense, which don't make sense because you're making money off of them regardless. But that it's still a silly way to look at it. If you're actually making money off of the tag team, or if you're building them right to the point that you can eventually make money off of them. Everything's an investment, is how I look at when it comes to the wrestling business. You don't know who's going to pop. You don't know who's going to fall. You got to give them a chance. That's up to them to give them people them chances.
Yeah. True story. I agree with that, because it really doesn't make sense why you keep breaking up these tag teams, forcing them to be single wrestlers, and just have them get lost in the fold within 6 months to a year, then release them.
Jason Jordan and what's my guy's name?
Chad Gable.
Chad Gable. They were the hottest tag team when they came up. And, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They killed what's the Wasteland dudes. I forgot what their name was. Victor and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They brought this Road Warrior ripoffs and had them diss the old tag teams, and then they were done. They were dead rival. They just make mistakes with tag team, and they were dominant. They were over. You had them. They were set. They ruined it. You know what I'm saying? It's they have tag teams. They just don't know how to maintain them.
Yeah.
They look for the one star in the tag team and break it up. Like what are the Viking Raiders doing right now?
So they got a new theme song now.
What are they doing? They
just rested up. No, wait, they were in the Black Friday Battle Royal for the
Battle Royal. Yeah. Yeah. I was confused looking at the roster for that Battle Royal. I thought it was a tag team Battle Royal.
I thought so too. It was a bunch of tag teams in there for the world title.
Come on, man.
They threw every tag team on SmackDown for the world title.
Not enough evidence. I don't know what is, but yeah, it's pointless.
Budget
it really,
quote unquote, yeah.
If you got budget cuts that bad, might as well cut the whole division. Then you might as well cut the mid cards you don't care about. Then you only got one title for 100 people on the roster to fight for. It don't make sense. It doesn't add up. It's not gonna work out.
Yeah, 100 people just to all get smashed by Roman Reigns.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of Roman Reigns,
oh god,
that man, he dropped some fire on us on SmackDown. Teasing talking about he might be gone sooner rather than later. I don't know what that means, but I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing for not SmackDown, but for WWE as a whole. And when he said that comment, when he was doing his promo this past Friday, what did you think about it, J-Bo? What'd you think?
Well, first off, my initial thought is just that he's playing to the heat and he's not looking to leave anytime soon. But hypothetically speaking, let's say there was some merit to what he said. And yeah, let's say he goes down the Dwayne Johnson, John Cena route of now he's a megastar in the WWE and now he wants to be a megastar in the movie scene. Personally, it doesn't really matter if he's going to be successful or not in the movie scene. The real result is going to be the state of the WWE. They have literally no other heavy hitters even remotely close to Roman Reigns right now, except if you bring back somebody like Lesnar or Goldberg, and even they are not at Roman Reigns status as of today. So it'll be detrimental. Does WWE have stars that they could push to his level? Of course, but that just goes back to our conversation of just not pushing those type of guys or girls. It'll be more detrimental to WWE if he left than to his own career if he left wrestling and go straight into acting. It's a terrible move on the WWE's part just because they don't have anybody that they're pushing right now with that same push or volume as I stated earlier. It won't be positive at all if he left.
It would not be smart for Roman Reigns to try to be an actor. He was in that Hobbs and Shaw and had like one line, and it was terrible. All right, it was garbage. And he speared somebody and did the ooh-ah, and it was the worst part of the movie. That was a good movie. That was the worst part of the movie, is throwing that man in that movie. More to that he does not have the natural charisma that The Rock or John Cena have. If he was to leave wrestling to go directly into acting, I don't think he would succeed if he did that straight out, left wrestling behind. He needs to get smaller bit parts, work his way up, get his acting chops together. I think that all of that was work. I don't think there's any truth to it. Even if he left to go to different companies, nobody's going to pay him what WWE is paying him right now. It's a lose-lose for him if he was to leave. He's good in his current role, and WWE knows that, and they are building off of that. Nobody else is going to treat him that way. He's not going to get paid that kind of money, and acting is not the right move for him right now. So I don't think that there was any truth to it. Like you said, J-Bo, I think he was really just playing to the character, playing to the heat, and really just getting some buzz going. WWE, they need some buzz. All their buzz is negative. They haven't had any positive publicity in a minute now. You know what I mean? So I feel like he's really just playing to that. And staring into the skid, which they should have done with him years ago. And by now he'd be building other people. Like if you think about it, he's held the title for over a year, but he's still new in the role. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Cena did this on and off for 10 years. Where he's nowhere near the status Cena is or was, nowhere near the status The Rock is or was. So he's top dog of a kennel with a bunch of poodles and ankle biters in it. And that's just because of the way WWE has portrayed everybody and how they treated everybody. You know what I'm saying? This is not even really a knock to the talent. They have a lot of talent still there, even though they've gotten rid of a lot of people. It's all about how they've treated them. Like, I mean, who else is he going to go against right now? You don't even have good enough challengers for him. For him to leave, you wouldn't have nobody to replace him immediately.
That's my point.
Yeah, nobody to immediately replace Roman Reigns. Nobody at all. Seth Rollins, but he's so much better as a heel. But the kind of, he's not a dominant, hard hitting heel. They play to the cowardice. Yeah. You know, him a little more slimy, sleazy, and he's great at that. But he wouldn't replace Roman Reigns. There's nobody that can replace him right now.
At first, I was gonna say it's a possibility that he was gonna leave because I factored in the age, because since he's 36 right now, and also the fact with his health and everything, so I saw it as a possibility. But when Harv mentioned the fact that this man doesn't have charisma like The Rock and Cena, I'm like, damn, you got a strong point there, because then you, like, over time you start breaking down like about Reigns and his career, about like how he just getting started with where he's at now. Like, dang, this man charisma really sucked all the years beforehand. Because I was thinking about it, so I'm like, for real, like you think about it, when he was being portrayed as trying to be like the good guy at first and taking on other people, all the times he was getting booed, and the people that were cheering for him, cheering against him when he would lose or lost, like,
it wasn't the kind of boos that Cena was getting.
Exactly, it was like boo, like we don't like him, or like stop trying to push this man, in our face. That was getting that type of boos, and like that was early on in his career. All it took for him to get light was, besides another situation, was for him to be gone and come back as a bad guy.
Yep.
And it's working for him. I like that it's working for him in his career, because they needed a superstar like this. there's cons to it because the fact that they got him so dominant, you got him beating everybody, and you really don't have anybody else to go against him since you released everybody else. So that kind of like, a shot in the foot right there. But you have that superstar. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, you got a good point. You really can't put him up there with the other wrestlers if you're trying to do like, GOAT talk or Mount Rushmore or best of all time, greatest of all time, because of the short tenure that he's been doing this.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, because even though people always like talk about being like a multi-champion, even though you have to lose the title to get it back and everything like that, still, like how many times has he won the title? Like I think like 5, possibly 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah.
Some I don't know. I just think the number off the top of my head, but still, like it's just that his legacy with everything, and also plus like I would think if he does go into acting, he could do something like how Batista is, do some off acting, little side jobs where he got to speak much, just like a monster. But the thing about it, the man, he could be.
I don't know. I mean, Batista movies you can see him, but Batista has big time roles. He's a star.
See, I apologize because I don't watch movies here. So
I agree.
he don't be in movies I watch.
He's not a great actor. He's probably between him and Rock. Rock isn't a great actor either. John Cena is probably the best actor of the crop. And I don't like John Cena like that, but he's
right.
Man, he does his roles properly. The Rock is big, he's huge, so anything you put him in, he gonna pop. And he's funny in his comedies. He's good. He's in comedies, but everything else he's pretty trash. And Batista, if it wasn't for Guardians of the Galaxy, he'd still be getting a little bit roles. But they pushed him to the forefront in Guardians of the Galaxy because more comedic role, and in that role he actually hits. But you don't have to be a great actor for you to succeed outside of WWE. It's just that Roman Reigns doesn't have any of those upsides right now. When he was the goofy, silly heel, that's when people hated his guts. Anybody else succeeded as a face or a heel. The Rock's, Stone Cold, he wasn't as prominent an actor, or he didn't spend as much time as a heel, but he was effective in both roles. Batista was effective in both roles. Roman Reigns ain't effective in both roles. He's annoying or he's a monster. Like that's really it. That suffering succotash shit was work. Was not
stupid. I forgot all about that.
I was trying to look for
wasn't gonna pop. So it's you got to be able to do both. He's not effective in both roles. So I don't think as an actor, even if he start doing a little silly babysit, all of them done did babysitting roles in movies and all that, you know what I'm saying, that little trash, he's not going to succeed. Not yet. He needs an acting coach. He really does.
In Roman Reigns' defense, he did do an interview at one point where he did say he did not want to do the suffering sacrifice line.
I know.
He did not want to do it.
I know he didn't, and I'm not blaming him for it. But that was during the time where they were trying to make him a face, and even though they get trash, he couldn't turn any of that trash into treasure. There was never a time when he was a face that he got overwhelming cheers in an arena. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Nothing he did hit. Just didn't.
Oh man.
Oh. You don't have that. You don't have that.
All right, so obviously we all agree that he's not going to go into acting, but the fact that they have him as this dominant superstar on WWE, who is going to be the next guy to take the title off of him?
Cinko.
To take the title off of him, I don't know. At this rate, not only is it a lottery, the chances are just as good as Rick Steiner's son coming up from NXT and taking it off of him. Like that's how
first timer really would. It had to be somebody brand new, but who?
That's how unlikely the odds are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
they got to hope AEW done overspent and start firing people the way they was firing people, so they can start doing returns. They got to hope for a Dean Ambrose return. Like he ain't got nobody. They ain't got nobody. They just don't, man.
Dean Ambrose, he ain't coming back.
Well, since we're on topic of AEW, since you want to bring it up, this past Wednesday on Dynamite, There was a fire promo shoot between MJF and CM Punk. Oh my God. Let me tell you, when I turned on the TV and I was watching it, and the thing about it, I ain't gonna stunt. I'm not a really avid AEW wrestler, watcher, whatever the word I'm looking for. Yeah. But I watch it though, because I gotta keep up with everything and all that stuff. That's J-Bo's show. But I watched it this week because I was chilling. And it was my birthday. And I was, trying to relax and recover before I went out the club. And I was just watching the TV. I'm like, hold on. This is some cold shit. Like, for real. I like MJF, but like that whole promo made me like him more.
Yeah.
Even though CM Punk did say he's a less famous Miz. Well, I mean, I don't say he a less famous Miz. He's just a more vulgar Miz. If Miz wanted to be not PG, that's who would be right there.
But Miz will still be more over than bro.
Oh yeah, because Miz know how to work the room. He could do.
I wish Miz start cursing and being more vulgar and stuff.
Oh
Man, that's over the moon. That's the thing. Only thing take Miz over the moon right there.
Because he showed up. Like, imagine if the Miz started cussing on his promos. Yeah. Boy, if he called somebody the B word, I would. Shit funny as hell. Think about it. You do the promo of the Miz, he just called you a bitch. I was like, wait, what?
Loser boy, whoa.
Exactly. Because Miz already killed on the mic without even cursing.
Yeah.
And staying like, and just being like a corny dude. But imagine if he was cussing on the mic. Oh my God.
They'll put it back in the world so fast.
Oh, that would be hilarious. Wait, what did y'all think about that promo though?
I agree. Fire. It was nice. It was a good, aggressive, borderline shoot type. Something we've been looking for. I think it's something that Punk needed, especially because a lot of people have been drying on him a little bit since he came back. He hasn't really done anything huge like they want him to do. So I feel like that woke people up to him a little bit more. And MFJ, MJF, I always get them last couple mixed up. But everything he do is boosting himself, and he need that. I think he holds himself very well. They put him against a lot of the veterans like Jericho, like Punk, and he holds his own. So that's only going to do more for him in the long run.
All right. So MJF is my favorite talker right now. So I'm going to be even more of a critic than anything. I felt, in my personal opinion, MJF could have done better. He started off rocky. He did. He started off just doing a whole lot of talking, and it wasn't leading up nowhere. It wasn't until about midway to the end of his promo where he really started getting hot. Unfortunately, MJF was in Chicago again.
Trying to box with God. Yeah, that's how they go.
That didn't help at all. I think that if they were in a completely different setting, I think it may have been a bit differently. CM Punk, I think he won just based off of the energy in Chicago, because he didn't say much. They both said some amazing, hard-hitting punches, especially when CM Punk said the only way that MJF will truly get popular is if Tony's daughter grows up and that he ends up marrying her. I thought that was
hilarious.
that was cold. I'm sorry. It was great. Don't get me wrong. It was great. It still wasn't MJF on Brian Pillman Jr. great, because that promo was just disgusting. But yeah, I thought it was great. And honestly, this does nothing but help MJF and actually give, like Harv said, give more focus to CM Punk. Because Harv, me and you, the one episode me and you had, we talked about CM Punk. It's been 7 years since he's been in the ring. He has a whole lot that he has to live up to. And yeah, he has coasted matches right now. So yeah, he needed a wake up. He needed, shoot, I was a coat different type of wrestler WWE, but now I'm in an environment where I truly fit in. Now I have to put in more work. So yeah, a lot of good points made. Yeah, so I enjoyed it.
I'm sorry, I had got a birthday text 3 days after my birthday. I feel offended, but yeah. But I heard everything y'all said though, and I completely agree though. And J-Bo being a critic of, people on the mic skill, but not critic about his favorite wrestler. But that's another story too.
I never talk about. That's why I say MJF is my favorite on the mic, because he is. I know how trash my favorite wrestler is on the mic. I know. I'm open to that.
They just need to get back on that boy.
He needs a mouthpiece. That's what he needs.
He need a lot, shoot. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But that is all the time we have for episode 40. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for watching y'all on YouTube. Pump those numbers real quick. But like I said, thank y'all for everything that y'all been doing with us. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the respect. Thank you for the everything. I can't think of no words right now, but just thank you. Appreciate it. But we about to sign off real quick. Before we sign off, do this one simple thing for us. Follow all social media platforms, KTR_podcast, Twitter, Instagram, Another Roast Podcast, Facebook, YouTube, Another Roast Podcast on all podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Podbean. We are on everything. And don't forget to get your merch at prowrestlingtees.com/KTR podcast. Also, I should have announced this on a couple shows beforehand, but I always forget. We have a wrestling show coming to our hometown in St. Louis, Missouri, Black Wrestlers Matter STL edition. Yes, go check in with that. Tickets on sale right now. Go on our social media pages. Click on the link in our bio. It's right there. Buy your tickets ASAP right now. I'm telling you, buy it right now. The event is going to be on February 19th, 2022. The match card is coming soon. The match card is coming soon. Y'all want to get them tickets for the match card get announced, because when the match card get announced, them tickets gonna fly. Because I promise y'all, we ain't finna disappoint y'all with this match card for our first show. And shout out to our boys, Mike Outlaw and Camaro Jackson, for assistance with this event as well. We're gonna do big things with this event, man. I'm telling y'all, the first of many. But please, go buy some tickets for that event. Come out to the Lou. We're going to show y'all some love. We're going to show y'all a good time and show you how we do wrestling in St. Louis. This is episode 40, KTR, #KTR, and we are out.
What should they do, Big Harv?
Buy them tickets. Buy that merch. Like them videos. Follow us on social media. Pump them goddamn numbers.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Numbers, letters, all symbols of man-made devices that could cripple us all. Improve we can panicking when storm hits and knocks out the power grid. Are you fully prepared to live off the grid? How you think?